Have you? I mean, I know we got to talk about immigration a little bit, just because it's such a hot topic right now. But have you seen this real time model of Canada's immigration?
No.
Apparently, it's increased by 81,000 people in just 2 weeks. How is this sustainable? Our government is out of control. So it says the real time model here: 41,443,992 population change since midnight, 3508. And then it goes up to 41,524. So the population change on that one is 4,661. So I mean that's like speaking of Chestermere, that's like two Chestermere's worth of people just showing up like in 2 weeks' time. I mean, how is this sustainable?
There's only 23,000 people in Chestermere or something like that.
Oh well, then 3 or 4 times. I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe 40,000 or something. So that's yeah, that's pretty crazy. But I guess it's part of the plan. I mean, here, let's just listen to this guy.
By taking reasonable steps today, such as allowing increased immigration.
So this guy is part of the Century Initiative, right? We've talked about that a little bit before. I'll just give you this, guys. This is from Paul Mitchell here. Ignore this post at your peril. This insane plan to create an unrecognizable Canada. Millions of migrants, many of whom don't share our language, culture, history, or values, are coming to Canada. It's an endless flow. A group called the Century Initiative wants 100 million people in Canada by the end of this century. And these people will be jammed into megacities where migrants and will be the large, overwhelming majority. What could possibly go wrong? This bizarre social experiment is virtually guaranteed to lead to an epic disaster, but Ottawa forges full steam ahead. So let's just listen to what this guy says here.
By taking reasonable steps today, such as allowing increased immigration, we can put Canada back on the right path. Now, of course,
back on the right. Well, we're off the path there. When did we go off the path?
I'm not sure we were ever on it.
An additional 60 million people will need places to live, work, and study, as well as transportation links between.
Oh, I hate. I was reading that whole thing from
It's more
1990.
Century Initiative shit.
Yeah, exactly. But I was reading that UN report too from 2000 about all the immigrants needed, the change of populations needed all over Europe, and it just kind of creeps me out. All these pseudo intellectuals deciding what should happen, like to all these nations,
between them, and that is the opportunity I want to talk to you about today. I suspect that the first question many of you, when you heard 100 million people, was, where will they all go?
How many people do you think Toronto will have during this time? Like the city, not the GTA, but just the Toronto.
10 million.
Now, based on our projections and the trends towards urbanization, the answer is that many of them will in fact be drawn to our urban centers.
No shit.
If Canada had a population of 100 million, the Century Initiative projects that Toronto would be home to 17 million people. The GTA, somebody just choked on their dinner, the GTA would grow to 34 million people. Montreal would increase to about 11.4 million. The city of Vancouver itself would rise to 7 million, and a part of a greater Vancouver area of closer to 12 million. Canada would in fact become a nation of mega regions.
We will be a nation of mega regions, and we're almost halfway there. I mean, we're almost halfway there.
We'd be like FEMA regions.
Yeah. It's so, I don't know if I want to get into it, but Jessica Rose, I mean, even though she's not like your typical, typical political, I mean, she has gotten political, but she's been one of the COVID warriors, one of the good ones. And I mean, I guess this does have a Canadian aspect to it because she's from Canada too. She's like, what's going to be the thing that the globalists and bankers use to try to impose lockdowns next? I mean, this is why kind of I say we're at war because they've been threatening this, I mean, he even said, I think, was it Starmer or one of the people in the UK even sort of mentioned something about this, but I'm just going to read a little bit from her Substack here. It seems clear that the globalists and bankers, from here on to be referred to as non-elites, will soon be imposing their pandemic preparedness schemes on the public again. Having pushed that virus epidemic pandemic envelope a little too far last time around, what would they possibly be able to dangle like a proverbial carrot in front of our faces that would be effective as a tool to convince us that we need to be locked up again? Think war, and more precisely civil wars. It seems very clear from the chaos and madness happening in the UK and Ireland right now that the illegal immigrant male youths residing all over the cities and countryside are very much meant to be there for a planned retaliation against culture. I like that. Planned retaliation against culture. I see what I see. Prove me wrong. My mouse is not working properly here. So this is just a picture of what's happening in Belfast. All they need is a signal. This could comprise many things: fooling the people into burning actual refuges, incitement from a public figure, or a few children potentially being earmarked for rape or murder. 17 million people so far witnessed statements like this is from two-tier Kier. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder. I'm going to skip through some of this stuff. This was in reference to the people of the UK taking any action against the madness of the clear impositions of life and safety that the people of the UK are facing right now, and Ireland. It's interesting that he uses the word thuggery to describe the response from the people of the UK to this absolute existential crisis imposed on them. So here he is with that fearful look in his eye. Oh my God. Who will regret what now? There is something brewing in the East as well. And this is this terror threat level to probable amid heightened tensions over the war in Gaza. And we know what's happening in Canada, right? They're even looking at ways to regularize illegals. Is that even a word? Are its pronouns not a word / made up shit / promotion of downfall? So have you ever heard about this government program here, this CIMM? Explore ways of regularizing undocumented workers. This is just from last October. Key facts and figures. There are no accurate figures representing the number or composition of undocumented immigrants residing in Canada. Estimates between 20,000 and 500,000. An undocumented migrant is an individual who has no authorization to reside and or work in Canada. Some may have overstayed their temporary status, while others may have remained in Canada following a rejected asylum claim. And then this is what's happening. So, I mean, that's kind of creepy, isn't it? Just like, oh, let's just regularize it. Forget the laws. I mean, that's part of the problem of this whole thing. Like, the laws are supposed to be applied to everybody, right? Even not haphazardly, not inconsistently, not in two tiers. So people know where they're at in society, right? I mean, some of these old books I've read really explain an interesting thing about the laws, right? About how people need to know what the laws are so that they know where the boundaries are in society. But if the rule of law like that is gone, and some people get treated differently, then you're just asking for disaster. They must know this. That's why I think it's on purpose. They must know this. So then get down to the States, and this is happening in the U.S. here. A Chinese national who's lived in the United States less than 5 years and is a non-citizen was just appointed as a San Francisco election commissioner. I mean, I haven't fact-checked this, but simultaneously, 90% of Chinese illegal immigrants are now entering through the California-Mexico border. So if this is a refugee thing, where are all the women and children? Between 2019 and 2024, reported just over 11 million border encounters nationwide. That was U.S. Customs and Border. That's roughly equivalent to the current population of North Carolina. Listen, non-elites, I don't think you've thought this through, and I don't entirely blame you for that because I understand that you have no experience with real life, but here's some advice, if I may. I would highly recommend not promoting any idea contrary to the idea that civil war or war of any kind is bad for everyone, for everything. It won't stop. It won't save the petrodollar. It will just end up in the certain destruction of beautiful things, people, and actual progress.
My trackpad battery died.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm
I just
remember
replaced mine and I was having problems with it. Now it's acting up again. So I'm just going to finish up here because this is good ending here. People have demonstrated throughout the ages an indomitable ability to learn and to course correct. And they will do so again. It is in our natures not only to destroy, but to build. So non-elites, drop the hubris and join reality. People are tired of this and want something better. You'd all be happier too. World domination is probably not all it's cracked up to be, and you'd likely end up being bored, sitting on a golden throne, stroking your own ego. So there's a picture of the non-elite.